So you want to learn how to skip docks? Stay tuned. I'm going to show you some great tips to get started. First thing I want to do is go over some basic equipment that you'll need. I like a tube because they skip really well and you can Texas rig them so you're not going to get snagged up. Now this is a 3/16 inch weight in this tube, and this is what's called a stupid tube rig. You can also do this with hollow body frogs, or a lot of soft plastics work really good. Now the line I'm using is a braid, and it's a 10-pound braid, which is a really light line. You're going to want something fairly light because it comes off the spool real well. That really helps while you're learning. And here's something where I may get some kickback. This reel is a Cast King Zephyr, which is a BFS reel. If you don't know what BFS is, it's Bait Finesse Systems. And this reel is made to cast really light lures. And the reason it can do that is mainly because the spool is bigger, it holds less line, and it turns faster than a typical bait caster. The benefit to having this reel to learn how to skip is because you don't have to put near as much line on this spool. So right now I've got 35 to maybe 40 meters of line, which is just not very much line when you're fishing. But when you're skipping docks, you're never going to skip a long ways out there. So that really doesn't matter that much that you don't have a whole lot of line. And when you do backlash, you're going to be able to pick that backlash out really easy. And the benefit to that is that you don't waste a whole lot of time, and you don't waste a whole lot of money buying more line. I also have a 7-foot medium light fast action rod, and this is a Shimano GLF rod, and it's actually made for saltwater fishing, but I find it to work pretty well on this BFS system. But when you first start doing this, it's really nice to have a lighter action rod, because you can see right here that this rod has a lot of bend to it. And the good thing about that is that when you bring that rod back, sorry, my phone's going off here, turn that off. The benefit to having a rod with a lot of bend like that is that when you come back into your cast, it's going to bend backwards, and it is going to help you get power behind that cast. Because when you're doing a skip cast, you don't want to have a lot of power in your arms to bring that lure forward. If you do, it's going to hit the water a lot harder, and you're going to have a lot of problems with backlash. So let me show you how we're going to start to do this. The very first thing is you're going to want to have more than a foot from the tip of your rod to your lure. So I usually go 16 inches or so down. And you're going to use a roll cast to do this. And a roll cast is basically your lure is going to go around, and then you're going to cast. And the way you do that, let me set you up here. The way you do that is to bring your lure back towards you. So you bring your lure back towards you, and then you bring your cast back and go forward. And what that does is it creates a circle with your lure, like that, okay? Now, when we make this cast, we don't want our lure landing right out in front of us. You want it landing a good ways out there. So you're going to do your roll cast and let your lure land a good ways away from you. That's going to help get that thing going forward, and you're going to get a longer cast. And if you do hit right out here, it's just going to blow this up and you're going to backlash. So you want to hit on out a little further. Another thing is you do not want to, like I said before, try really hard to make that thing go far. You want it to be a very easy cast, and that's what's going to help it go further. All right. That was a pretty good one. Now, accuracy is really the hard part. And you can see I landed too close there and made one big skip. It still stayed low, but it was one big skip. And as I was saying, accuracy is the hardest part of this, and that's just practice. So if you get this down to where you can skip, then you work on your accuracy. It's always good to come out to a really open area, and that way you're not hanging up, you're not hitting pontoons, you're not hitting docks and all that. And then once you get it down, you can get out on the boat, skip around docks, skip around trees. Then you don't have to worry too much about it. That one right there is the way I like to do it. A real low trajectory, and it'll go a lot further that way too. Hopefully, if you're wanting to learn to skip cast, this helped you out. If it did, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, go fish.